Hey guys, welcome to a brand new episode of Pokemon Duel. Today we are looking at the Dark Gym and preparation for it. Dark types plus 1 MP to the 1 and 2 MP Pokemon, and plus 20 attack to fighting types. This is the first gym in a while actually. There's been a lot of gyms where there is one unit that has both, but in this gym sadly not. So let's start off with a Rainbow Booster. I have not had an EX in 2 months now. Please change. Oh my god. Just no EXs. Then again, I would say that I've had no EXs in 2 months from these tiny boosters, but today, look at this fella I pulled. Nope, that's not the right button. I managed to pull a monstrous, an amazing EX cube. Boom! Can't wait to use this. I'm probably going to save it for the next banner. I could invest it in, if I was going to put it into anybody, I'd put it into Virizion, putting that 102 attack. Sceptile's good at 91, Zapdos, Moltres, they don't need it. Trevenant could put it into his Rock Smash, but I think that he might be a figure that I might get swapped out in the future. We'll see, but I'm definitely saving it. I have 2 green EX cubes now, so let's check out. I'm basically going to be doing a run through of all the dark and fighting Pokemon that I think will feature, and then composing some decks which I think will dominate in the gym, and some decks that might also counter it. So best way to do this is a material exchange. Let's look at the dark types first. Now, because the dark types get plus 1 MP, let's kick it off with only looking at the 3 MP. These are the Pokemon that will have no effect: Umbreon and Greninja, Purloin and Murkrow. You're probably looking at Greninja as a type that you might use in a dark deck, given that if you pull Yveltal, you can get that plus 10 attack when Dark Mist is pulled as many times as it's hit. So Greninja might be the one type you use. Umbreon you could use as a good runner, but I think there are other evolution type runners that you would probably use rather than that. And when we go to 2 MB, there's such a good choice. That's not dark type. Palkia, you don't want Palkia. He would suck in your deck. Yeah, so we have, these are the 2 MP Pokemon that will go to 3 MP. Yveltal is going to be awesome. I've missed using this guy. I remember he was like one of the first guys I had, like solid guys in my deck, and he used to be OP. Draining Wind is a great tactical move. Love how that works. You can sit him on an entry point and somebody could attack him, you hit Draining Wind and you can pull people off the goal and then win from that. And Oblivion Wing at a nice 100, Dark Mist at 10. That ability is so cool in combination with other dark types. If you rock 2 Yveltals and start hitting Dark Mist a lot, could be really good. The only vulnerability of this guy is obviously if he becomes confused, because he's pretty much guaranteed to hit and miss. The only other, there's not a great selection within the dark types, but there are some combinations which really will work. The Weavile deck in the Flying Gym Cup, the first one, the Weavile deck with the plus 20 was killer, because people rock 3 of them, and when they had team play in effect, that's plus 20 damage for each friendly Weavile on the field. So their attacks become strong enough to compete. They're not going to be amazingly strong, given that the fighting types, there's a great selection of Pokemon that deal a heavy amount of attacks. But having that purple yellow disc is really good. That will be a good counter to, like, say, Yveltal with his purple discs. But then my favourite feature of this is Ice Punch. It's such an annoying, because you will play against Weavile and you will attack it at a point, and there will be periods where you go, if I attack this guy and he dies and I get frozen, you end up on the back foot, because you could be attacking and have 3 defending and he's isolated, and then all of a sudden the other team, their team blocks it off, and you're stuck with a frozen type Pokemon and down to 3 types. So this is a big vulnerability for me. Leo, come here. Come sit down. Dinner time's at 10. Yeah, so 3 Weavile is killer, and especially at 3 MP. These guys will close down entry points and then have that frozen ability. Could be deadly. The other types worth talking about are Abyssal, because of that Perish Song ability that he has now, the ability to attach a curse marker. and the ability to eliminate somebody from the duel after that, it's pretty deadly. But the only problem with it is that he doesn't have attacks to back that Perish Song up, and it also makes him extremely vulnerable to getting knocked out and of the duel completely, because if 70 and 40 attack are not strong enough, there's just too many counters to that. At 3 MP, it's not going to really make a big difference. You'd need to hit the Pokemon Switch straight off. I think it's a great ability, but I don't think we will see that in effect. I don't think people will use Abyssal because of it's just too much of a liability. You initiate attack, hit Perish Song, both get a Curse Marker. Next move, you knock Abyssal out, and then your opponent could use a Pokemon Switch. Might be worth putting a cheeky Pokemon Switch in your deck then, just in case somebody runs an Abyssal. We also have Zweilous, which is he evolved into Hydreigon, and he has the ability like Hydreigon that's plus 10 damage when you have friendlies as well as and Dino. God damn these German names, and Hydreigon. So they can become quite powerful, but again, there's too many fighting counters that will make them way more powerful. And if we look at Sneasel, obviously with the evolution, I love Sneasel from the old days, but Fury Swipes at 10 and 40 quick attack is not strong enough. It's going to be difficult to get that evolve. But I love the fake out. Ooh, at 3 MP could be. Well, we might see a few of them, but I don't think enough. Then the 1 MP Pokemon who will go to 2 MP. These both have evolutions that will go to take them to 3 MP. Hydreigon, Draco Meteor. I love that move. It's one of my favourite moves in the games. And we have Flamethrower and Dark Pulse. If you ran Hydreigon and Zweilous, they could have a strong attack. With 5 on the field, you get your Dark Pulse up to 110, Flamethrower 100, and Draco Meteor. Could be good, but I don't think a whole team of them would be effective enough. Tita will go to 3 MP. We saw it in the Nastium Cup. He went to 3 MP, but we didn't see him feature much because the Pupitar Evolve is too difficult, and Earthquake is great at 120, but Crunch and Bite take up more of the disc, and therefore you might hit them more often, and he just can get knocked out quite easily. And Earthquake, very few people have Pokemon that have big misses anyway, so it's not really going to pull off enough. And Drapion has some unique abilities if you want to go for like a poison type counter, with Noxious Fang, making them noxious, and Venom Whip, giving the choice of one Pokemon within 2 steps becoming noxious. It also has Battle Armor, so at 2 MP it can. I just don't think it's good enough, and I don't think we'll see that feature too much. Then we go to the fighting deck, and this is where it gets different, because the choice is, there's so much good choice here, and we'll see loads of deck variations within this because of how many just dominating Pokemon there are. So we have Virizion first off. Grass not going up to 60, not a big deal, but it's going to be a great counter to those high attacking Pokemon we'll see in fighting types. Sword of Justice going to a massive 120. Typhoon Slash doing what it does best, and tactically winning clutches with Typhoon Slashes, getting those switches and causing surrounds to occur. Also has Step Work, the ability to pass non-flying type Pokemon. He's definitely featuring in my squad, no doubt. Then Terrakion is just going to be the powerhouse that you have to back him up. Sword of Justice at 121 and Stone Edge at 140. Plus, takes out blue attacks. The only problem with this guy in this gym is I don't think we're going to see a lot of blue attacks because very few people have them in the fighting types. We'll see Cobalion who does have them. Cobalion will be a good counter to a Weavile deck potentially because of that that ability to not get knocked out by gold attacks, only making you vulnerable to the Ice Punch. We have Sword of Justice 121, Quick Attack at 80. Will be good for that tactical choice against those yellow attacks. Riolu against with the evolve. Can you get him to evolve into to my main man? What? I can't think of Lucario. This guy with Aura Sphere he makes a great defensive Pokemon because you got Aura Sphere and Dodge as the backup. Metal Claw going to 90. but we see typically in gyms that he doesn't. He's a good Pokemon to have, but he's not as strong as some of the other fighting types. So Infernape for me is going to be a really tricky one whether to have him or not, because Drive Kick goes at 110, and this is a really good move to have when you're on the offense and you're driving people down with the Drive Kick. It's such a good move, and also you have the ability to clutch wins with it. So like that and Typhoon Slash will make goals really difficult to protect, but the miss is very big on Infernape. 16, you can take that down to 12, but he does have a new ability in Detect that gives it 3 MP if it hits it. But the way I see it is, if it's initiated attack, it's hit Detect, it's likely it's probably blocked anyway, so that at that point the 3 MP might not be much use. We'll see how effective that is, but definitely put that fear of the Drive Kick in Pokemon in people's decks and make them play a double defensive. So that, what I mean by that is where you have to have 2 on the goal. So Typhoon Slash you're not vulnerable to if you got 2 in the goal and somebody attacks one from the side, where it switches them into a surround, and Drive Kick means they can't go anywhere. Same for Hariyama. So Chestnut we have is a good powerhouse. Spike Shield's a great ability, and Hammer Arm going to 110. This guy's going to be good to use. Some people might go for the Evolve. It's not too difficult because Chest Spin is actually quite an effective Pokemon, but not actually a fighting type, so won't get the plus 20. So he's a great. I've got 3 of him, and I can make my Hammer Arm pretty strong, but I don't like his misses. Very vulnerable to Confuse. We see a lot of Pokemon in this gym that might actually be quite vulnerable to Confuse, so that might be, people might run a Reuniceless deck. The only vulnerability of that is Dark decks are going to absolutely destroy Reuniceless and Deoxys decks if they have Dark Energy, because it's just gonna nullify their spins once they have 2 Dark Pokemon on the field, and it's gonna make Cosmo Energy no problem. Now we have this guy. This guy's gonna be really interesting in the Gym Cup because he has the ability of Justified, the ability to add 10 damage for every Dark type on the field. So increased by the number of opposing Dark Pokemon on the field. Oh no, so it's only actually it's only increased by the number of Dark type Pokemon on the field minus your own Dark type. So yeah, this is what I mean. If you are facing a Dark deck with Keldeo in your squad, and they're running a pure Dark deck, that's once they get 6 on the field, that's 60 damage added to the 20. So that's Hydro Kick at 120, Sacred Sword at 131. So he could be a monster, but you're probably going to see it at 111 and 100, because you're more likely going to have 4 on the deck once the game starts to go the distance. But 3 MP can get himself into good positions. 2 dodges, miss can be reduced to 8. This guy is going to be a really good counter to the Dark decks, but you run a risk because you might face a fighting deck, and against a fighting deck, a pure fighting deck, he's not going to have those abilities anymore, and he's just going to be running Sacred Sword and Hydro Kick at 60 Hydro Kick and 71 Sacred Sword. So to me, easy target for dying easily, and Virizion could distraction with him. Easy target for the Typhoon Slash. So a real risk, but if we see Dark decks dominating, then definitely a good choice. Machamp is probably the only other one worth mentioning because of his unique ability. But as we've gone through those, you might have noticed we didn't see many people with status effect abilities, and so Machamp might not come into his game because as soon as he's paralyzed and he loses one of his smallest discs, which is Dodge, and that's why I think it tactically has Dodge as smallest disc. Submission goes to a massive 150, Karate Chop goes to 130, so once he gets a status effect, he's deadly. But like I say, watch Chestnut, Lucario, Infernape, Cobalion, Terrakion, Virizion, not one of them has a status effect. Of Dark types, we go to status effects. Svilas has Raw, nope. Umbreon is the only status effect we have. and Noxious reduces it by 40 anyway, so it's not a great one to have. Very few status effects, if any, literally. Curse, Drapion, Noxious. We only see Noxious, and so Noxious just renders it takes down 40 anyway, so it means it has 10 added attack. So not great. So one final thing to talk about is plates in combination that you will want to run with these decks. If you are running a fighting deck, of course, Muscle Energy is going to be that card to go for. If you're going toe to toe with a fighting deck, you're going to get that up because you've got Muscle Energy in effect. +1, not like Steel Energy, which only adds the +10 to your highest attack. This adds +1 to every attack damage that they deal. So this could be really this is a good decider, and it'll make a huge difference in your decks when you're going head to head with people with pretty similar decks. So I'm actually going to go ahead and buy this because that's some sign of what deck I'm leaning towards, because I feel that in this tournament it's either a dark deck or a fighting deck, maybe with one exception to the combination. So looking at what I've got, for me, so I'll set up this dark deck. If you were running a dark deck, I would hands down go Weavile, Weavile, Weavile. I'd probably put some rare cubes into them as well to make sure they have +1 on each of those, on Ice Shard and Ice Punch, to have that good strong effect. I wish I had 2 Yveltors. I would probably run Yveltor. And if you're going to be facing fighting decks with strong powers, I just wouldn't run Abyssal. I think at this point, I'd probably then combine. I'd have to put some fighting types in. And I'd probably put Virizion, Terrakion for the power. There's not too many threats to the yellow discs. There's Mach Punch, which the only real the problem with Cobalion is, and its vulnerabilities to it's not very vulnerable to yellow attacks other than Zapdos, because it has a very high attack. Very few Pokemon, Rayquaza maybe as well, but very few Pokemon have that threat of a strong yellow attack. You usually see them sitting around the 40 levels. But it does obviously in combination if you put them somewhere. So that is what, if I was going to run a dark deck, it would have to have Dark Energy in there as well, because that is just going to be a defense against psychic types. If somebody does opt to run a Reuniclus deck or a Deoxys, and people are still putting their attack Deoxys figures, so you can just it creates a huge advantage against that. Because there are not many jumping types, I would have to have a hurdle jump. Probably put a double chance in there for the Virizion swap. And finally, I'd probably for myself put in a Max Revive, just to give you that backup if for that team play for Weavile. If one gets knocked out, you get one straight back out, and you keep that max effect of the team play. So that's what, if I was running a dark, if I had 2 Yveltor, I would run 2 Yveltor. Let's just check that over, make sure we haven't missed any dark types that could compete. I just don't think Hydreigon would feature for me. Yeah. Problem with this deck, no, it's not, because the thing is, this is a good runner deck as well, rush deck, because everybody can go to. But if you're rushing with Weavile, you can't really rush with them, because until you've got all 3 out and they've got that full power effect. So you're gonna have this guy doing the running. So as you might notice from my sense of like talking about this deck, is that I'm not sure about this deck. I don't think I feel really confident. Whereas actually, if you put a fighting deck in my hands, it's a whole different situation. The fighting deck will have a vulnerability to a Deoxys deck potentially, but I think you've got enough figures in there that can, you've got Stone Edge, which will counter an attack Deoxys Psycho Boost. You have Grass Knot, which will be a good counter to that with the Typhoon Slash. You've got Cobalion with the yellow disc to take out a defense, Deoxys. So still, I don't actually think there's too much of a vulnerability. I wouldn't run Keldeo. Oh, would I? I don't know. No, I wouldn't. I'd put Infernape in there because I think that Drive Kick is going to be really effective. I would have more of those guys. Like I'd have double threat with those guys if I could. Chestnut, I just don't feel like he could feature for me. But I would like I need a 3 MP Pokemon. I need a runner. It might be, to be honest, I think I'd just go all out power, and I'd be really tempted, because I think with all out power you're gonna knock guys out. But I'd be tempted with Moltres in there. If we're gonna see Weavile, we want something to counter the taunt, don't we? And so actually I'd put Zapdos in, because if you're countering dark decks, you're going to see a lot of purple discs in there from the taunts from the Weaviles, from Yveltal's purple discs, and it's a perfect counter to Yveltal in that it has 103 on mine and will beat any Yveltal probably. So definitely Zapdos. Then you've got the Soar ability as well, and you've got the step work from Virizion, and finally I need a 3 MP Pokemon. Would I go with Yveltal? I mean, I love this guy. 3 MP, be so tempted to. Dark Mist will only boost Dark type, so it wouldn't have any benefit for that. But it would obviously give him a benefit of 110. Yveltal, I'm just thinking about what decks they might run. Fighting decks counter with that. He does make quite a good runner. I think I'd be tempted by him, but there's a lot of other Pokemon that to be considered. If we say 3 MP at all, who have we got as choices? No. Mew could be a really good Pokemon actually. Mew could be a great, obviously if you're going to see a lot of heavy attacks, good combination of attacks. Got the yellow disc to counter Yveltal, perfect counter for Yveltal pretty much, almost, because with the Hypersonic counters the 100 attack, counters the purple discs. Weaviles again vulnerable with the purple discs. Won't be, will they hit the hundreds though? No, actually. They're perfect counter to Yveltal, but not. I don't think perfect counter to Weavile. Maybe a Keldeo. I don't think we're going to see. I think fighting decks can dominate. I just feel they are. There's not enough choice in the dark decks. I feel there could be. But there's when we're looking at uncommon Pokemon, you could obviously play my runner boy Leafeon. I've definitely got to have one runner in. That Grass Whistle will be threatening to Weavile, there's a lot of yellow discs. He's too vulnerable. Got the yellow discs on my team. 3 yellow discs. You know what? I've got to have a runner, but I think it's going to be Yveltal. Yveltal, just also because of that ability to drag Pokemon with the Draining Wind, and I've already put cubes into him from the past. I'd like to put a cube into Virizion, but that's my deck. That's what I'm going with. No, wait, hold up. We haven't done plates. Let's do some plates. This is important. So we've got Muscle Energy, right? We don't have a Deoxys counter in terms of an energy plate, but I do think we just have strength in what they can offer. A lot of yellow discs, a lot of power attacks. So I don't think we need anything on that side of things. Double chance, definitely always put one in with a Virizion. Max revive. We've got 2 people that can jump over. We're not going to see many flying types in there. So 2. Do I have enough for the hurdle jump? Usually if I've got 3 people who can move past people, I would take the hurdle jump out and use a long throw instead. I'm going to put a long throw in there because of the 3 MP threat from dark attacks. Just gives me the good cover on that. That's it. Yeah, happy with that. That is my deck. I will be running over the dark decks. I'll be tempted to play this just because it's really fun with the Weaviles, but I just don't think it'll be reliable enough given the power that we have in the fighting types. These three guys. It's nice to have the Sword of the Justice all together in one team as well. This deck's going to be real threatening. As soon as it lays a defensive stance against those 3 MP fighters, bosh, you can go on attack. You've got Evil Toll as a strong defender. Yeah, happy with this. This is the deck that I'm running, and I think we'll see a lot of combinations because I've got one of each. But there'll be people out there with many Terrakions. You know, 3 Terrakions running 140 Stone Edge, 121 Sword of Justice. He's going to be the monster to beat. I think we could see a lot of him, and I'd probably run 2 Virizions. Oh, would I? Maybe like 2 Virizions and 2 Terrakions. Yeah, I'd probably use 2 Virizions, 2 Terrakions. No, 2 Virizions, 1 Terrakion. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I don't have that issue because I just don't have one. And then you, as soon as possible, you can pop that muscle energy at the right time. Get that +1, so you're not having to put EX cubes into the Pokemon. And hopefully that's effective. Let me know what you guys are going to run, if you've got any good ideas, any things that you'd change in that. I'm pretty sure it's probably the best deck I can run. But let me know if there's any vulnerabilities to it, if you spotted any. If you like it as well, hopefully you guys can copy and imitate. Get the up on this gym. I'm excited for this one. I feel like it'll be an exciting gym with a lot of power. It should be if it's got fighting types in it. And yeah, I think it's just going to be a nice setup because we don't have a dominating figure that has both +1 MP like Aggron. He was just a dominator. We'll see. Okay, well that's all for this video. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Hit the like button if you have, and hit subscribe to keep up to date with future content. That's all from me. See you soon.